Arden is a genuine monster on the battlefield, dominating whatever he can get to, as long as he does get there. Greetings and salutations, my name is Deltran, helping you build killing machines so that you can dominate in PvP and special hero maps. If you want help earning all the feathers, orbs, sacred coins, and heroes that game pros at you every week, consider subscribing. Let's get his digits. He has the highest hit points and defense, not just out of all of his contemporaries, but out of anyone in the game, at least with vanilla IVs. His attack is also quite wonderful, although not the best out of armor units. His speed and resistance are both abysmal. As a matter of fact, his speed, he's tied with Zephiel for the slowest in the game, so he's getting doubled by everybody with 3 units, himself being one of them. Let's take a look at what he swings with Brave Sword Plus. Oh good, now we do get doubled by everybody, but we get 2 taps on everybody on initiation only. Pervase is there in case, we actually take some damage somehow. Follow-up ring. Have you ever had that thought that quick riposte just wasn't strong enough? Well, have I got a ring for you. Follow-up ring is going to let him get a follow-up attack whenever he is attacking, or whenever he's attacked, as long as his hit points are above 50%, so there we go. And yes, this is a non-inheritable skill, and Dry Defense 2 rounds this out because with his high defense, he's bound to not attract attention, and so he's going to probably accidentally shove it off on his teammates. This lets them take those hits. Let's take a look at the obituaries, and now before we go any farther, I broke the rating system out into 4. So we have Aggressor and Duelist, which are the same as before. The Blocker rating has been broken off into Wall, which is how they do against physical attacks, and Deflector, which is how they do against magical attacks. And we can see that we're pretty good Aggressor Duelist and a decent Wall. Yeah, magic is our downfall. As a matter of fact, it's almost a cheat. The reason why we have an A for colorless is because Jenny's the only one that has Radical Staff. So I don't really know what I think about that. I might need to adjust how that's calculated. Regardless, we do rather well on initiation for ourselves. We get rid of a lot of the people that we would like to see get rid of, but of course mages just punk us down. All the colors, all the different types, it doesn't matter what source it's from, we just don't want magic to touch us. Slow and steady wins the race is a saying that we've heard over and over again. Well, it takes a little bit of extra planning whenever it comes to Arden. His initiation is beautiful. Between his ring, between the Brave Sword, and the fact that his stats are completely min-maxed to the max for this. It's just incredible. But he has a huge weakness, and honestly that weakness is not so much any worse than any other unit for the most part, but it is hard to compensate for. And that resistance of his is just abysmal. However, if you can get him to where you need him to be, and I'll talk about that here in just a second, it's really worthwhile to develop an Arden. If you didn't get a 5-star variant of him, it's worth throwing the feathers into him, to be quite honest with you. Brave Sword Plus, anytime you have a brave weapon user, and Arden's no exception, getting them the plus variant is a lot more crucial than it is on other units. Now, as far as getting Arden up into the field, swap is good if you're in an armor emblem team because then you could just immediately switch around to people, but really you need reposition. You also need smite. You need things that are going to catapult people along. There's also a couple of seals out there that'll really help. Specifically, guidance is going to help him out quite a lot. I think that if you focus on mobility, you don't have to really worry about how to use Arden. It's sort of self-explanatory. You just aim it at something and kill it. End of story. The only problem is getting him there. And I think that if you focus on a team, he's set up for a mixed team, to be quite honest with you. He's supposed to be in a mixed team with horsies and flyers and other infantry. He doesn't need to be in an armor emblem team, and you can tell this because of 2 reasons. One, he has drive defense, and that helps in an area, but you know what? It's not better than ward armor. So that tells you one thing right there. The second thing that tells me that he belongs in that team is that he has such a high defense, and he doesn't need to have as high of a defense as he does. Well, he needs a high defense and a high hit points because of his low speed, but he doesn't need that kind of high defense if he wasn't supposed to be mixed in with people. And I say that because while armor typically has a really high value, it's not as high as his. And why you could just say, once again, that it's compensating for speed, I believe that that is a reason why you want to use him as the sole unit in a team that is armor and have everything focused around them. Whenever you do something like that, you have to make that armor unit the core of the team. They might not necessarily be dealing all the damage or doing all the most important things, however, you have to build around them and you have to pace around them. Having flyers around there to support, having archers or mages there to support, that's how you do it. And I think that if you mix Arden into your non-armor emblem team, even at 4-star, he's going to be wonderful. You're going to love it. So if you're looking at him and you're wondering if he's worth it, give him a try. I don't think you're going to be disappointed, especially if you give him the mobility support that he needs and the ranged tanking, specifically magic. Who cares about even Brave Bow Archer? She's going to be able to stand there and sort of giggle at him. So make sure that you give him that support that he needs, and you're going to love it. I guarantee it. If you're looking for cheap and quick upgrade options, Reposition's a good one. Helps you move people around and get them out of danger, switch to them around. It's a really good skill to have there. Now, Deathblow 3 is getting dangerously close to not being a cheap solution with the way that it's only on one 4-star unit and it's in the gray, colorless pool. Yuck. However, it is still on this list so far, and it is the best thing for him with that Brave Sword. Now, Fury 3 is going to do well for him. It's going to work against his follow-up ring, but it's going to give him all the resistance that he needs in order to stop getting killed by several mages whenever they initiate on him. But if you don't have Fury 3 fodder lying around and you don't want to put Death Blow on him, Attack plus 3 is honestly really, really good. You can also go a swap for a defensive unit like this. Swap and Reposition are almost interchangeable. You could swap them around. And you would be just fine. You can also switch out that defensive special for a more offensive one like Bonfire. The cooldown 3 is going to be nice. He'll be bound to use it pretty much every other fight. And, you know, 50% of 41 is a lot. That's a technical term. And then you can switch out that C-slot skill for something like Ward Armor or Hone Armor, especially if you're in Armor Emblem teams. Those are going to work out wonderfully. I have one build for you, and I can't believe I managed to get this to happen. The Aggressor, the Duelist, and the Wall Rating are all S rank. That basically means it's perfect. That means that after 2 rounds of combat, he's not losing to anyone. Whether he's fighting back and forth, whether he's just taking hits, or whether he's dealing them out directly with assists so that he doesn't have to take much damage. This is amazing. Now, this build, as I say over on the Seals part there, this does use Quicken Pulse, but I have something to say about that once we go on the DPT, but let's talk about this real quick. Follow-up ring lets him get all those hits. Panic Ploy debuffs people in case you need that. Death Blow and Ignis, it's wonderful. With that Quick Impulse, you're going to get that extra charge. There's no one who's going to stand up against you on initiation. And of course, well, you know, we take a lot of damage from mages, which did not change. As far as the DPT, 27-0 on initiation. Boom! The only person who lives after our attack is FE. And she really is on the winning side of this, to be quite frank with you. I would not bother initiating against FE. But look at this, you kill everybody else, all 28 of them. Now, of course, once we're initiated on, 10 and 10 is what we're looking at here. A lot of mages get us down, and that's really to be expected. As far as people we do kill, I mean, there's a lot of heavy defensive people that we do take out, which is wonderful to see. And of course, we can't really touch all the range people because we don't have any kind of distant counter. This is probably a good time to say that distant counter does not buy him anything. A lot of people might want to put distant counter on him, but it doesn't prevent you from dying to mages, especially if they have any kind of SI on them. If they've been modified, distant counter just isn't going to do you any good. It might be okay in PvE, in PvP arena, it's not worth it. If anything, it's a blessing. And I'll tell you why it's a blessing, because there is one more skill here I want to talk about. We're going to show you an obituary page for defenses, as if we swapped out Ignis and for Bonfire, and we swap out Quicken Pulse for Deflect Magic. Now, whenever we're initiated on by all those mages, we are 4 and 6, so we don't kill nearly as many people whenever they attack us, but we die to 4 less. Specifically, Cecilia, Celica, Nunu, and Summer Elise is the people that we live through there. So that's really nice. We can stand up to green mages, which is great whenever we do the Deflect Magic. As you can see there, the kills in the DPT are still 27 and 0. That does affect your overall getting rid of Ignis and Quicken Pulse, but as far as the DPT is concerned, you are still standing strong on top of the hill here, friends. Arden is just amazing. And hey, do me a favor, if I've said something here that give you something to chew on, how about you go ahead and hit that like button. If you like your Fire Emblem information hot and fresh like grandma's cookies, hit that subscribe button. My name is Deltran. Thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate all of you. And until next time, take care.